What's up? I'm here with another fucking video. Surprise, surprise. Yes, you know what? I have decided I'm going to commit full-time to this channel. Well, full-time kind of depends on my schedule, really, but I'm back doing these, and I know you motherfuckers miss this shit. So I'm going to be doing something a little different for a change. I have done a ranking list before, but it wasn't ranking a whole franchise. I think I ranked, like, what was it, Friday the 13th kills or scenes in Friday the 13th or I can't remember what it was. It was about 3 or 4 years ago I did that video, and I've never ranked anything afterwards. So this is going to be a little different, and for me, this is going to be a very bizarre ranking, because you see, I'm going to be ranking the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. Why this is going to be bizarre is because, unlike the Halloween, the Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Child's Play, Hellraiser, Scream, well, actually I think all the Scream movies are fucking shit, but regardless, those franchises have always had sequels and remakes that I could kind of enjoy. I enjoy a good little chunk of the Halloween sequels. There's a couple Friday movies I like. Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is my favorite in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. That's a big unpopular opinion. Hellraiser 1 and 2 are pretty alright. Child's Play 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I even liked Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky pretty well. So here's where it's going to get different, is because the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original 1974 Tobe Hooper film, is my favorite horror film of all time. The sequels, remakes, prequels, whatever the fuck, they're all horrible. Every one of these movies are horrible. I guess that's kind of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I guess, purist in me, I guess, I don't know. I adore that original film and think it's a horror masterpiece, and all the sequels are just, I feel like the sequels are just one of two things: lame cash grabs or parodies of it. So we're going to go ahead and get into this. I've got some notes over here. I've got my little Joker notebook here. Brilliant film. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's one of my favorite films of all time. And speaking of something that's not one of my favorite films of all time, for some reason I decided to use this copy of Alien vs. Predator Requiem as a bookmark. And honestly, I don't even know why I own this big piece of shit. But yes, no, I've got my notes, and I've got my ranking written down, because these movies, they're all bad in my opinion, and really there's no real way I can rank them, but I thought long and hard about it today at work. Yes, I was focusing on this rather than my work today, so I've nailed it down. This is my real ranking until this new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie comes out, which I'm pretty certain it's going to be horrible, just like all the sequels are. Alright, so number 8. Bottom of the fucking barrel. I hate this movie. I despise it. And, well, there's a lot of people that love this movie and think this is actually the best in the franchise. I think it's the worst. Number 8 is the 2003 remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's not a single thing about this movie I like. I hate Eric Balfour. I hate Jessica Biel. I hate Jonathan Tucker. I don't hate the girl from Blair Witch 2, because I like that movie. She's horrible in this. That weird guy with the blonde hair, he's horrible. The biggest sin for this movie, in my opinion, they got Arlie Ermy to star in this, and he gives the most hollow, wooden, just lifeless performance that I have ever seen him give. And I love them. I love him. Rest in peace. I think he is just an amazing actor, and he just didn't bring it for this movie, really. There's just nothing in this movie that I like. The bad acting from the kids. Well, I can't say they acted bad, but the characters are just really dull and not very interesting. Whereas I thought the original, they had a couple interesting characters. There's a scene in this movie where a chick pulls a fucking revolver out of her vagina. How it got there, I'm not sure. That seems to be kind of a safety hazard, really. I mean, shoving a gun in your vagina is kind of dangerous. And the other biggest sin is it just takes all day to get to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre shit. And then the Texas Chainsaw Massacre shit happens. It's just, to me, it's just very studio made, very just kind of run of the mill slasher. They made Leatherface not scary. They made him like some fucking WWE wrestler, just fucking like the goddamn Incredible Hulk. And I'm not into that. It's just, it takes away from the scary part of that original film. It just, to me, it's not frightening to me. It's not even a fun popcorn movie for me. It seems to be that, like my dad and my brother and all that say it's like a good popcorn movie and all that. I get really bored with it. I've watched it with my fiance as well. She really likes it. I just don't get it. I don't get this one at all. Alright, so number 7 is Texas Chainsaw 3D. This movie's pretty fucking bad. Really bad. The reason I put this over the remake is that there's a scene where a guy gets hung on a hook and cut in half with a chainsaw. That's really the only redeeming quality of this movie, besides Alexandra Daddario's performance, because she's actually a good actress. Clint Eastwood's son, Scott Eastwood, that guy cannot act. And you know what? Clint needs to have a word with that motherfucker, because he sucks at acting. He is horrible. None of the actors besides Alexander Daddario are worth a fuck in this movie. Even the girl that plays Cynthia from my favorite sitcom, Malcolm in the Middle, the girl that plays her, she sucks in this movie. Okay, and I really liked her character in Malcolm in the Middle. I always thought her and Malcolm in the show had good chemistry and all that for the seasons that she was in. She sucks at acting here, and I'm sure it's probably got something to do with getting stuck with Trey Songz. Thing is I'd never even heard of this Trey Songz dick until I'd seen this Texas Chainsaw 3D. I looked him up, I listened to his music. I wasn't really blown away by his music or anything like that, but I didn't really care about his music as much as I did the acting performance when I was seeing this piece of garbage in the theater. And, well, it just really wasn't there. And aside from that one kill, there's really nothing in the movie that's worth watching. And not even the fucking evil mustache twirling bad guy mayor that got shoved in the fucking, I don't know, some kind of grinder or something like that. Even that was kind of lame. I thought it looked really weird. And I'm not even going to talk about how the chick who Alexander Daddario, I'm not even going to talk about how her character is supposed to be like 40 and she looks like she's 19. I mean, that's just lazy writing. Oh yeah, and the people at the beginning, the rest of the Sawyer family, where the fuck did they come from? Like, seriously, just bad movie, just garbage. All right, number 6, part 3. Yeah, Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, part 3. I don't know if it's like you had a classic film like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1. You had the second one, which was something, to be honest. Then you had this one that just, I don't really have a lot to say about it. It was boring the last time I watched it. And honestly, I remember when I was a kid, I walked in to a Sam Goody with my mom. Yes, my mom let me buy the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Had an unrated cut on it. And I was actually too scared to watch it. This was before I had seen like any horror movies. I was too scared to watch this thing because I didn't know what kind of shit was going to be in it. And I watched it. And to say the least, I was very underwhelmed. Well, my dad was in a metal band with this guy. And he came into the living room and saw it on there. He's like, dude, is that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3? And I was like, yeah. he's like, oh my god, it's got the unrated cut on it. That it's got the scene with Leatherface getting his head bashed in with the. I can't remember. They took something out in the R-rated cut. I was like, yeah. He's like, dude, do you care if I borrow this thing? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And I'm just, yeah, go ahead, borrow it. And I think he borrowed it for a couple months, and no, it was a couple weeks, and he brought it back, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that I bought this thing. That's just how unmemorable this movie is. Ken Faree was pretty alright in it though, but I mean, you got a big Hollywood actor in there like Viggo Mortensen, who really wasn't that good in this movie. Although I don't think it was his fault. I think it was the crappy script. But yeah, number 5, we've got Leatherface. And the longer version of that is a needless prequel to a classic that should never have been touched in the first place. Yeah, I don't even remember if I sat through this whole thing. No, I did. If you like, I guess, Southern fried horror, that's not really everybody's thing. Southern fried horror, which is a weird name to call it. And it's a kind of like a road trip slasher movie. If that's your thing, fine. And I don't mind movies like that. I really liked Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects. But the difference with that is that that's its own thing. This is a prequel to my favorite horror film of all time, and I'm sorry, spoiler alert, I didn't, excuse me, I didn't buy that was Leatherface at the end. This was the guy in the original film that terrified me as a child. I'm sorry, I didn't buy for 1 second that scrawny little fuck, or was it some fat fuck? I don't remember what it was. I try to erase these movies out of my mind. I didn't buy for 1 second that was Leatherface. Just, no, not a very fun movie for me to watch. Number 4 is Next Generation. And the reason why this is as high up as it is because I only saw this thing for the first time, I think, in 2018 or 17. And this thing was fucking hilarious, okay? I laughed in this fucking movie. The biggest problem with that is that, okay, let me put it to you this way. My favorite comedy movie of all time is Caddyshack. I laugh every time I watch that movie because that movie is just comedy gold. It's a comedy. That's its genre. Next Generation, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Next Generation, if I recall correctly, is a horror film, and I have done nothing but laugh the 2 times I've tried to watch this movie. A horror film that I have laughed at everything in the film. Those are 2 very distinctly different films. One of them is meant to be laughed at, the other is not, and you can kind of put the pieces which one's which. Yeah, no. The one redeeming quality is I actually like Matthew McConaughey in this movie because he kind of sells me on the kind of psycho. He's insane in this movie. Renee Zellweger though is just not very good in this movie, and all the other actors are just. I don't even remember the story to this movie. I know there's some kind of porn star in this movie that tries to order a pizza or something like that. I don't remember the storyline to this movie at all. Right, number 3, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. Now, I do have positives with this movie, but overall, horrible movie, minus, I think it's Jim Sydow or Jim Cedo or something like that. He comes back from the first film. He does an excellent job in this movie. I love that he came back. The guy that played Leatherface, when he's not being made a joke out of, the scenes where he actually is trying to be scary, it's pretty good. Bill Moseley as Chop Top, though, I'm a little iffy on it. I like Bill Moseley as an actor. I don't much care for the character of Chop Top, and because as a fan of that original film, I really don't feel like that the character belonged in the franchise. Now, he's an entertaining character, don't get me wrong. I don't dislike Chop Top. For me, it's just, this movie isn't for me. Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 is definitely an acquired taste, and it's just not for me. But I ranked it up number 3 because it is what it's the film that Tobe Hooper thought he was making with the first movie, and he got to do what he wanted to do. And well, I didn't like it, but at least he got to do what he wanted to do, and it's not the worst in the franchise. And there's a couple moments in here and there that I thought, yeah, okay, that's kind of cool. But yes, Part 2 is not. It's a horrible movie in my opinion, but it's not as bad as the ones prior. Because the rest of these movies are fucking terrible. All right, number 2. I don't hate this film. I don't like it either. I can tolerate this movie because it actually has a couple things in this movie I actually enjoy, and that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning. I kind of enjoy parts of this movie. I like that Leatherface, you get to see him working at the slaughterhouse. That was fucking cool. I don't like the whole Hewitt family thing. I don't understand why they changed the name from Sawyer to Hewitt. They could have just called him Sawyer. I mean, Rob Zombie didn't change Michael Myers' name in his remake of Halloween. Like, what were they going to call him? Like, Michael, what the fuck ever, insert any last name. No, he didn't do that. Jason's name stayed the same. Freddy's name stayed the same in their respective remakes. Well, garbage remakes. At least that's just my personal opinion. I didn't really see the point of changing Leatherface's last name to Hewitt. But I can look past that. This movie, like I said, it shows Leatherface working at the slaughterhouse. The way he kills that mean motherfucker, who's kind of just mean for no reason, which is kind of a flaw with the movie. He's just mean for no reason. He fucking lays into that motherfucker and just... I liked that part. I also like Jordana Brewster in this movie because I actually like her as an actress. But the biggest issue with this movie, in my opinion, is just... I felt the gore was... While... excuse me. While it was good and well done, I just felt like it was just a little too excessive. And in the original film, there was like literally no gore at all. And I think that's what partially made the original film to me more scary. But this is not a trash movie. I actually like the whole segment with R. Lee Ermey. And R. Lee Ermey is actually way better in this movie than he is in the remake. I didn't really like him in the remake, but he is way better in this than he is in the remake, in my opinion. I like the whole segment with him killing the cop and stealing his outfit. That was kind of cool. Okay, it was cool that R. Lee Ermey did it. I also like the whole backstory with R. Lee Ermey when he was in the war, and that he had to cannibalize all these people, and he ate his fucking friends. I liked that. That was kind of cool. I wish that... Well, I can't say I wish that they would have gone deeper into that, because it's not a character study, it's a slasher movie. But that was cool. And Andrew Bryniarski, or Bryniarski, however you say that last name, is, he's a little bit better in this. I like the look of Leatherface in this movie. I like the long hair, the mullet and shit. I like the mask, too. I like both masks in this movie. Unfortunately... There's some really dumb characters in this movie. That's not Jordana Brewster. The other characters are really dumb. I don't like the rest of the family. I don't like the mother and the big husky lady that likes to drink the tea. I don't care for them too much. I also hate the ending to this movie. It's just, I did not like seeing Jordana Brewster's character get killed. I don't know, there's something about that just didn't really sit right with me. But, yes, number 2, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning. It's not a good movie, but it's not a bad movie. It's just, it's a very okay movie. It's not one that I watch very often. I mainly watch it with my fiance, but, because she likes the movie, and she also likes the remake, so they go hand in hand, which is whatever. I'm not the hugest fan of all these movies. The movie I am a huge fan of is number one, the original 1974 classic. There's nothing about this movie that I dislike. Nothing. There is just the grit, the grainy camera, just... Sorry, I started having a coughing fit. Just the grainy, grimy camera work done in this movie that just, you know, just really, it sells me. Like, when I was a kid, I thought this movie was real. Okay, I thought all this shit was real. Of course, I was a kid. You know, this is back in a time when I used to watch wrestling. I used to think all the wrestlers sang their own theme songs, which some of them did. But yes, I used to think this was real. Okay, I remember just the trailer of this movie terrified me as a kid. The scene with what the hell was her name? Chick with the red shorts. When she stumbles in the house after her boyfriend is just he's gone after he's not recovering from that blow to the head with the sledgehammer. When she stumbles into the house and she comes face to face with Leatherface and she runs out, she almost gets out. Leatherface grabs her and pulls her back in. That fucking terrified me as a kid. I guess you could say that this film and Tobe Hooper and all the actors and actresses involved in this movie are part of traumatizing me as a kid. I almost want to say this scared me a little bit more than John Carpenter's Halloween, though Michael Myers really scared me as a child too and haunted my dreams. This movie did too. Okay? Michael Myers and Leatherface to me are like my brothers of destruction. So like Kane and the Undertaker are some people's brothers of destruction. Well, mine is Leatherface and the Undertaker. Kane and the Undertaker are awesome too. But yeah, so the dinner scene in this movie as well is just, it's shot perfectly. It's so chaotic and, what's the word? Macabre, I guess you could say. It's just, the horror is filmed and shot and written so beautifully, I guess. And I just really find it hard to believe that Tobe Hooper thought that he was making a dark comedy with this. I don't believe that for 1 second. There's no way in fucking hell that he thought that this was going to be a dark comedy. No. I don't believe that. I know that apparently he said that. I think he was full of shit. No disrespect to him, but I'm just saying, I don't believe that he intended at all making a dark comedy. And this thing even tried to go for a PG rating, despite having zero gore in this movie. It kept getting an R rating just because it was too fucking terrifying. And damn, this movie is terrifying. And it's still terrifying to me. My dad still finds this movie terrifying. And my dad was alive when this movie first came out. Says it was terrifying then, it's terrifying now. That's just... I know people that don't like this movie, that think that... I had a guy I worked with tell me that this movie is... Well, I don't work with them anymore. This was in the past, excuse me. Told me that all this movie is just a girl screaming. No. Wrong. I understand it's your opinion, but there's a certain extent to, he stated it as if it was like some kind of objective fact. No, there's no opinion with that statement. He was speaking as if this was some kind of objective fact. No, I'm sorry. It's not just a girl screaming. There's a lot going on in this movie that is just terrifying, and even the conditions they were shooting the movie on made that girl terrified, and it showed. It was just so perfectly done. I just can't stop gushing about it. I can talk about this movie all day. I can talk about John Carpenter's Halloween all day. It took me years to be able to appreciate the original Exorcist, but because of my fiance, she showed me what a brilliant horror film it is, and it's literally in my top 3 favorite horror films now. But the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is obviously the focus of this video. It's a gorgeous movie to me. And that's a really weird way to put it, I guess. Just, yeah, this is a beautiful movie to me. It's like, I don't really know how to put it. It's just, I love this fucking movie. I can watch it anytime. I can like, literally, I can have people over, or be at, like, a family gathering for Christmas. What Christmas movie should we watch? Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm down to watch this movie anytime, any place. And unfortunately, it concludes the end of the list. Well, unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to look at it. I'm kind of glad to, you know, my mind is no longer focused on those crappy sequels, but and remakes and shit. But hey, you know what? I had fun doing it, and maybe I might do some more rankings lists. I've actually been sitting down watching all the Halloween movies again, so we might be getting a Halloween ranking list. Maybe on Halloween? Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, so I guess that's going to wrap up this video. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'm out. Peace.